Boom.
All right, now we're going to go into our next segment.
Fuck it.
The segment about, the topic of the day. And today we're speaking with a poet and social
media queen.
a poet and social...
Back up, please. Just back up.
A poet and spoken word poet. Nono the poet.
Hey.
Thank you so much
welcome.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
we're
you.
very excited for the direction this episode is about to take.
As you should.
So if we could just start off with you introducing maybe your age, if you're comfortable, your pronouns, what you do, and anything that you want our audience to know about you.
Okay. So hi. My name is Nomxolisi Ndlangana. I'm 30 years old. I'm also known as Nono the poet, A.K.A. Nono, also known as the Queen. I am a writer, a poet, a vocalist, and an actress.
Dope.
Yeah.
And you're from South Africa.
And I am from South Africa, born and bred.
Nice.
Yes.
When did you make the commute over to this awful, horrible country? And I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Right?
No subs.
Right.
Real life shit.
It's been 9 years. 9 years ago, I decided to. Yes.
That was like a decision that you just I want to come to America.
No. I've always wanted. Well, it was. You know what? It's not about coming to America. I always wanted to come to New York. I don't really
identify with America.
Unfortunately, New York is in America, and it's an inescapable fact that you can't.
Well, why would you want to come to New York, man?
Because
we had 2 terrorist attacks back to back. LOL, what?
They were like, "Damn, I couldn't go to work today. That's fucked up." Shit. No, that was Sam. Literally, that was just Sam.
That really was me. So do I get paid? We are hardened, cruel individuals.
Oh my god! I guess I like to live on the edge.
Yeah. This is the edge. If anything, it's literally
the edge. There's nothing after this. Anything else you want us to know about you?
No, I think as we talk, we'll probably discover more.
So hopping right in, how did you get into poetry in general, and how did you get into this erotic root of poetry that you do?
So, I've been writing since I learned how to write. And then in high school, I think that's when I realized, okay, I have a deep passion for this, and I want to pursue it in some shape or form. At the time, I didn't know what that would look like. And then 9 years ago, when I moved here, I started writing poetry. Again, seriously, okay, I want to get out there and perform it on stage. And I went to a place called Mocha Lounge in Harlem. That's where I performed for the first time ever a piece called Soul Vagina, which is in the book. Yeah. Also, the title of the book. Yeah. And I remember the host was like, well, after my performance, he was like, well, clearly you've been doing this for a while. And I was like, no, this is my first performance. And from there on, it just kind of took off. And
he saw it within you.
Yeah. And, the erotic stuff kind of, because it was an erotic poetry night, so I kind of had to, do something erotic. And then after Soul Vagina, my direction kind of naturally went into erotic poetry. But when I say erotic poetry, even though there's a lot of sex involved, the sex really is just a medium that I use as a means to talk about deeper things. Like the book, I go into things about self-identity and self-expression, and the intricacies about, between two people in an intimate relationship. So it's not just sex. In fact, it's far from being just sex.
And what made you choose sex as the outlet to do so?
Because sex gets people excited. It's going to get your attention.
That's why we do it.
I care about sex. They're like, damn, you just love sex, and Sam and Rob and everyone, they're there.
We never have sex.
But I like this fucking podcast.
I don't even know what that is.
How was I born?
Yeah, it gets your attention, and I don't know, it just, I can't explain, the way that writing for me it's a gift. It's a divine gift that I've been given, and so some reason the spirits in the out there decided that this is one way you can express yourself in an interesting way and actually engage people, because people think, oh, sex, and then once they hear what I'm saying, they're like, oh, damn, okay, I hear what you're saying.
And what types of topics are you exploring through sex?
So like I said, self-identity, me as a woman, who I am, how I've come to define myself as a woman. Because, you know, anytime you're engaged in an intimate situation where sex is involved, there's a lot of vulnerability. And that's definitely a notion that I also explore, amongst other things.
Tell us about Soul Vagina, the book, the compilation.
Soul Vagina. So Soul Vagina is it's a compilation of poems, and the best way to describe it is that it is a book about I use sex as a medium to talk about sexual freedom, talk about self-identity, to talk about the nuances and complexities in a relationship.
Rob, you had a question?
I was like, damn, Sammy got so quiet. So can you discuss the role that pain plays in your poetry?
Yes. That's a good question. Thank you for that. Pain takes you to a very dark place, and in order to get out of it, I use writing. That's how I get out of it. And there's so much beauty that can come from it. And as a result, Soul Vagina is that.
And specifically, what kinds of pain are you discussing?
Pain from failed relationships with lovers, be it, you know, whether it's platonic or intimate. And from my friends, my sisters, you know, having watched what they've been through. Because, you know, when you're a friend, you have to empathize, and your friend's pain becomes yours. And then I take that and I use it to heal. It is a form of catharsis too. Yeah.
Healing for you and also healing for your friends.
Yes.
That is so empathetic. I wish my friends could.
I get how you say. So did your writing come from that kind of pain, or did the writing just happen and then pain also came and you were able to use the writing to articulate that pain?
It came from writing, definitely. I've done some of my best work in the most difficult positions I've ever been, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, in every facet you could possibly imagine. And you know, when you're in so much pain because your heart is broken, the best way to deal with it is not to run away with it, it's to sit with it, really get into it. What is it that you're feeling? Why are you feeling this way?
And what is the benefit of that, as someone who's been through a lot of heartbreak? I'm trying to just like work my shit through this.
Yeah.
So vicariously healing.
How do I help myself?
Well, so the reason you do that is because if you sit in it, then you're dealing with it. You're taking care of it. As opposed to, you know, leaving it there and not dealing with it. It doesn't go away. If you don't deal with it, I mean, you can slide it under the desk, you know, under the carpet, put it behind it, but it's always going to come back. And it comes back at night when you're in bed all by yourself, sitting there with your phone.
Is that a read? Is that fucking read? Was you in the crib? Oh shit!
No, it was in the corner. Like,
Right.
You like that shit? You like the way that shit tastes? Gotta go through that shit, man.
Right, and it's you know, it's horrible, it's nasty, it's ugly. But it's necessary. You have to do it. You have to do it.
So, like, as a writer, do you feel inclined to just do that when you're working through trauma? Like, for me personally, sometimes I don't even want to write things down because it's like, this is me reflecting on shit that has made me anxious and scared.
And it's like, if I record it, it's even more real.
Exactly.
Yes, no, it's, you know, it's difficult. I will say that there are times when, you know, it hasn't been the greatest pleasure writing, but by the time I'm done, because, you know, what happens when I do write, I go into this state of mind where literally I'm almost removed from what I'm writing. I have to go back and read it, and I'm like, oh, wow, so that's what was going in, because you have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
And, it's not always easy, but there's just no other way for me to be than to write.
So you're telling yourself, you have to work through this.
Oh, yes.
So work through it.
Definitely. And, you know, even if the first thing I write probably is crap, it doesn't matter. You keep writing. You keep writing. something is gonna happen.
Have you gotten responses from your readers or your listeners about them connecting to the kinds of things that you're writing about?
Yes, and it happens especially when I'm on stage, because I'm also, I'm a vocalist and I'm a spoken word artist, so I do perform a lot of my poetry. And the reactions that I get from women especially is just, it's heartwarming. You know, women come up to me and they say thank you. You know, after I've talked about dicks and this and that, and you know, but
Us.
We understand that.
Right, but then they come up to me and they say, you know what, and they, you know, they make that eye contact. It's like, I heard you, I got that, you know, you went to a place and thank you for that, because they understand. Just like you said, I was in your house last night, you know?
In my corner,
But actually,
under my covers, like, hey,
Yeah,
I see your job.
we all have a shared experience.
And is it often women of color? Like, who are you getting feedback from?
All kinds of women, women of color, Caucasian, and it doesn't matter. It's, you know, pain and love brings, I mean, we all share that. It doesn't matter what color you know you look like.
Yeah, that's unbiased.
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel as an artist, getting those kinds of...
It makes me feel so good, because it's, for one, it's like, for me, I'm heard. And two, it's like I've affected someone in a positive way. So that is me being in service of my community. That's how I serve. So it's just a good feeling.
Do you have a particular story where a woman came up to you and was like, this changed my life?
Not exactly, but I will say years ago I performed at the Nuyorican Cafe, and this woman came up to me after the performance, and she just, the look in her eyes, you know, it said it all. Like, all she said was thank you, and she hugged me, but the look she had in her eyes, I got it. I knew exactly where she was coming from.
She needed this.
Right. And that's why you're right. That's why you know, do what you're passionate about.
Can you tell us about, just about Soul Vagina and kind of the trajectory that it takes and the themes that it explores?
Gosh, there's so much. I get into just the pure pleasure and the euphoria when you are in a sexual space with someone that you trust, but mostly you've allowed yourself to be so vulnerable, not only in you taking your clothes physically, because that's also symbolic, but literally just opening yourself up, your heart, your mind, your soul. You then enter a different hemisphere, literally, with this person, where you are taken out of this world and you're experiencing life in a different world. I go into things like that.
Sounds deep. I don't know if I've ever had such
Damn,
good sex.
that shit fucking, my heart was like, oh shit, bitch, you missing out, you know?
And definitely, you know, pain, you know, being left by a man, what that feels like, what that, you know, what you discover about yourself, being the one that's left behind. And of course, you know, being in love, definitely a lot of that, being in love, and what that looks like. Was it love to begin with? So yeah, things like that.
And was this, first of all, hearing your poetry about sex, your sex is lit as fuck. Is it?
Thank you.
It sounds like, so it seems like you're a very erotic person and you deal with very erotic partners. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you know, so I'm not an erotic poetry writer per se. It's part of my repertoire, but it's not the only thing that I do. So right now I'm in a space where this is what I'm doing. There's a lot of, I'm using sex in my artistry, but I definitely have a wide range. I do different things where sex is not even, like, it's not even in there.
But in your personal life?
In my personal life, do I
sounds very erotic. Sounds like good things are happening.
No, not necessarily. A lot of the times, you know, I've created these pieces where I'm just like, well, where is he? I don't know. You know, like, you know, I'll write about something that's just out of this world connection with someone, and I myself have never been there.
So where are you pulling that from?
Divine.
Hope and faith.
Divine.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So I heard this specific interview that you had done after you performed a piece, and you said that what you write about then actually manifests into your real life. Explain to us a little bit about that, because I wish I could just like,
crazy.
Sam got the bomb dick last night. And the next day I got the bomb dick. Like,
Sam, you are funny.
All the trash and shit. Sam finna get this dick, and Sam get this dick.
Get into it.
Listen, I haven't quite figured that out yet. You know, I don't know. I look at my pieces now and I go back and I read them and I'm like, wow. You know, I talk about these just horrible experiences where, you know, you're breaking up with someone or the way they're treating you is not, you know, not up to standard. And when I go back, I'm like, damn, everything that I wrote, it happened. It happened with this dude, you know. So it's like, I don't know, I should probably pay attention and like, okay,
listen
so
to yourself.
Listen. Isn't that a lesson for us all?
Yeah.
Take our own advice.
That instinct, though. If we all listen to ourselves, we'd never die. Yeah. So that'd be bad, though, because then it'd be like 90 million.
Oh no! Ugh. Small world. One poem that I listened to that you did spoken word for that I kind of related to as a young budding hoe was I think that's me, a woman poem where you were kind of discussing like being taken advantage of by men and like men just viewing you as a sexual object. Can you talk a little bit about that poem?
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, if you look at the political climate right now and what's happening,
you know, my favorite thing to think about.
Yeah, and then the sexual allegations that are coming up. You know, as a woman, we have a long way to go. You know, yes, we can vote. Yes, we're working, but the way that we're being treated on a daily basis by men is, you know, they could do better. Definitely could do better. And I write for women. I speak for women because I am a woman, and it's you know, it's. I mean, I've walked down the street and had a man I just don't know slap my ass. You know, and it's like, what do you do in that position? Like at that point, like, do you run after him? I mean, he's a man. He might, you know, take you down. It's just, and there's so many little things that happen on a daily basis where it's just like, gosh, I'm swimming uphill, you know.
Yeah.
But I write about it so we can have conversations about it and at least have men thinking like, okay, maybe I need to be a little bit more sensitive in how I operate towards a woman.
And then, like, specifically in this poem, what I really liked about it was the fact that you were like, I used to just, like, say yes, and I used to be applicable, and I used to just have sex to have sex. And then towards the end of the poem, it kind of, like, seems like you actualized yourself, and you're like, well, I'm going to have sex because I enjoy it, not to just, like, be the benefit of this man.
Right, it's reclaiming your power. Because you're always in control at the end of the day. Once you realize that, because sometimes a lot of women don't realize that because you've been kind of conditioned to be a victim. You know? And so once you realize, no. I get to choose. I always get to choose. Yeah. And I'm not going to, you know, feel filthy or dirty because I am choosing this.
Yeah. And it fully, like, makes you actualize what being a true hoe really means. Because it's like, I'm going to be a hoe because I want to be a hoe. Not because you want me to fuck you.
Right,
like, I'm going to fuck if I gain pleasure out of this.
Exactly. Like, you know, and everything is relative. You know, there's a piece in the book where I talk about, you know, how I turn tricks. If I don't know you, you better not tell me I turn tricks. You know, everything is relative. But with my man, that's a different story.
Explain fully what you mean here.
Well, you know, listen. I told you, once you get into a space where you're in an intimate situation and you're completely open and vulnerable and naked, you really get to enter a different dimension, and there are no stop signs, yield signs. You can go wherever you want to go sexually, you know, with your body. And that's all. I'll leave it at that.
If you want to expand upon that, that's the kind of show this is.
Oh yeah, I mean, what do you want me to talk about? I do in bed?
If you want.
No, Sam, I will not talk about
That's fine. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about Soul Vagina, maybe like what your favorite piece is in the book, or.
You know, having a book is like having a baby, and then the pieces are like little babylets. I know that's not even a word.
Damn, that's what you babylets.
Yeah, babylets. So it's so hard when you have to pick one, but let's see. There's a piece called Soul Vagina. That's titled Soul Vagina. I guess I'm a little bit more sentimental with that one because it was the first piece I ever wrote that was kind of that used sex as a medium to talk about the notions I mentioned before. But Soul Vagina and definitely Love Inquiry. Love Inquiry, yes. Those are definitely top of the list.
What is it about those two pieces that...
Soul Vagina actually kind of touches on what you were saying about, self-actualizing and how I get to choose, like, I'm not a hoe because I decided to sleep with you, So it's really about kind of claiming your vagina and who you are as a woman. And then Love Inquiry is, I guess the best way to put it would be a 5-year relationship crammed into a 4-minute poem.
What was the process of writing that? Like, this is based on an actual...
No, not an actual. So, I mean, there's a lot of, artistic creativity. So, not a lot of it, some of it is not real, but it definitely, I draw inspiration from experiences, not only mine, but other women.
So it is about a 5-year relationship? And
Yeah.
It happens to be?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just I'm using that as a way to describe it in the sense that I go into meeting this person, to how they make me feel, and then what we did, and how it ended, and what I decided in the end would be. So, different stages. So that's why I say a 5-year relationship. I just mean a lot is happening throughout.
I see.
Yeah.
This one sounds like a full narrative, and if you would like to read it for us.
Yes,
we would
definitely. I would love to.
Do you need a copy of the book?
You know what? I actually do perform this one, but let me see.
There's a... Okay, just kidding. It's like covered under shit. But it's like under something.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's fine. All right, so you guys want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to take this off.
It's like a Bible.
It's
Kind of cool.
Very cool.
You guys are funny. Has anybody told you that?
We're just ridiculous.
It's like the honesty of black people. It's just coming out of
You
the
just say what you're thinking.
Right. Okay.
your conscience.
Okay, so this is called Part 1, Love Inquiry. There really is no way to start a conversation like this. If you need to order a drink or take a piss, I suggest you take a second before I begin this. Because once I go, not even God's hand can stop this flow. I commonly populate stages, but this is no show, because Nono don't do shows. I prefer to epitomize and personify poetry in its jarring beauty. And for you to understand my frenzy, I have to take you back to Thursday night at the pantry. When he got so close to me, you could smell the sex sweating out my pores. I was perspiring lust. He'd been so good to me for so long, marinated my thighs with his drool, and made me look like a fool, as I groaned a long, deep ooh, and watched me get high, prepping me for the ultimate ride. Like tithes, he gave to me like he believed I would be the one to save his soul from the hordes of empty birds that circled his dock. Now, I have been everything under a man's hands, but with his hands pressed firmly against my chest, I must confess I had never been fucked or loved before until I met this man. He infected me with his lovemaking and morphed his body into a cure, affecting me like some spiritual lore. I was sure he was some god sent to resurrect a part of me I thought had died after countless nights of unforgiving loneliness, and Lord, he crippled with his sexiness. But this time I had no inclination to fight the vortex that palpitated only for his dawn. I let him take his time, as I grew into a restless beat that swore to do just as he pleased. Just please, ease that thing into the scheme of things, and by things I mean me. Ease that beast into me. And if I scream, don't you dare seize, wait till my slit melts into seas. See, it wasn't the glory of its dark hardness, suctioned tight by thy pussy highness. It's how he sang love songs with his cock, as his hands kneed into my skin, searching for symptoms of arousal. How he spilled dark secrets with his back-flexing, complex, stigmatizing injections. My body was split into sections of explorations to be bruised by affections. Skin wet from sweat and tongue surging, he covered all ground. Came around, touched down, 2, 3, ooh, wee. 4 times. 4 times I cried, stifled by this black revelation. He liked me. He loved me. And it wasn't enough to just fuck me. He pined to wake up with me, to talk about nothing and everything in between as we cooled down by the morning breeze. I wanted his dick to live inside of me. I mean, like, occupy my vaginal space on a permanent basis. For this jog, I even wrote a song. I know the universe created you for my womb. So can your dick live inside of me? At this point, I'd lost my goddamn mind, but that's all right. You see, when a man happens to you the way he did, you got to slowly pull down your panties and respond to his physical inquiry with the same level of honesty and ruthlessness. So once I had recovered what I did, well, there is no room for what I did in part 1. Mm-hmm. Now part 2.
Yes.
I fucking love that.
It's like, you know, like you're kind of expecting something and then it's like, oh no, that surpassed. So you're like, that was amazing.
You know, it's funny you say that because that's exactly what it is. People always think like, oh, okay, you know, she's gonna talk about, you know, this, and then it's like, no, I have something else in mind.
Serenading us.
And it's like, it's so different as well when you read it. Mm-hmm. Like, I guess it's like also like reading like lyrics.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is a song, like this is a beautiful song.
Right.
It's like, when it's performed.
And it's like, damn, I hear your cadence, I hear your feelings, you out here singing and moaning. Oh my God.
Singing and moaning.
Little baby dick joke. Like, no, that was great.
That was dope.
Thank you.
There's something there to the fact that you are a black woman who is like very upfront. And I know you're not only an erotic poet, but when you get into the eroticism, you get into the eroticism, as we just heard. Right. So how is that reaction from audiences and from publishers and from your family? Because my family doesn't know I do this podcast, for example.
Yeah, my family barely knows.
They don't know I'm an erotic being.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of family members don't know, and the ones that do, you know, they're so supportive because I think they get it. It's not like I'm not making it sound trashy. You know, I'm trying to have a conversation. I just happen to involve sex. And guess what? You adults in my family, I know you're having sex. So
you have kids.
Right, you know. So let's have a conversation, you know? And then with you asked me about the reaction from fans, you said?
Yeah.
Fans too. It's just, you know what the funny thing is? Like, after a performance, I find that a lot of men don't really know what to say to me. They just, it's kind of like, you know, oh, that was great. You know, it's almost like they're scared to come up and, you know, say anything. That's something I've noticed. And women are just, you know, it's reactions from I'm here for that. Yeah. And also, you know, yes, you
spoke to me.
You were definitely saying some shit right now. It's positive. It's all positive, really.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how about from publishers as like a writer?
Yeah. Well, I'm self-published, so we're doing this independent. So we're not looking for anybody's approval or anything. We're doing this.
Nice.
Yeah.
And was that a conscious decision, or was it just like the best fit, or?
Both. Both, definitely. Mike, my manager who's here, is the one that kind of, he came up to me. He was like, you know what? A year ago, you should write a book. I was like, okay. And he just, I still don't know how he did this, but put this together. He is multi-talented publisher, everything you could possibly need a manager to be. Yeah.
Shout out to black men who
see
talent in black women. And foster that.
Definitely.
So with the poems in your book, are they things that you've written for the book? Are they things that you've had prior universal theme and you put them together? How the book come together in general?
So I've been writing for forever, and I have, different pieces that talk about different things. And so what I did was I decided what I want the book to be about. And then I took all the pieces that made sense for that. I mean, I have tons of other things. I mean, there'll be other books, but yes. So I just collected everything that made sense for Soul Vagina, and that's how the book came about. Some of them are like, I wrote them as I was putting the book together, and a lot of them they were already there, just kind of waiting.
And what are some of your other works like outside of Soul Vagina?
I have a project. Is it like a mixtape, Mike? I still don't know how to.
EP.
Okay, it's an EP. Cool. It's called Wet Paint, and this was my first project that I put out, where I kind of started experimenting with singing. So what I did, it's poetry over a beat with singing, and yeah.
Cool. And can we also check that out? In
Yes.
atmosphere.
Yes. Wait, say that again?
I just said in your atmosphere. That might not make any sense. Can we, as listeners and readers, check that out?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Website.
If you,
Website.
Yeah, if you go to my, see? He's here for it.
Doing your job over there.
Keeps me in check. Yes, on my website, Nono the Poet, www.nonothepoet, Nono the Poet, all one word, obviously, .com, and you'll see everything. Cool. My EP, you'll be able to see where you can get the book if you want to pre-order it, because that's available. Yay!
Happy for you.
Yes.
So do you feel like New York was the place for you to go in order to achieve these kind of feats?
Definitely. I always the reason I wanted to come to New York, the idea behind that was always I wanted to make a difference on a global stage, and New York was the first place I thought of. So
it's the global city.
Yeah.
Had you been writing when you were in South Africa?
Yes, but not as seriously as I have been, or had been, or had started to be when I moved here.
And what is the environment for Black women writers in South Africa?
Now I went back home to visit, and I mean, just the artistic world has just developed incredibly, more so than when I was there. So I know there's definitely plenty of avenues for Black women, women of color, to go out there and do what they want to do. It's, I love my country. I'm not a sellout. I just, I wanted to explore other things. Yeah. Step out of the comfort zone and see what's out there in the world.
Is New York your final resting place, or will we see Nono the Poet in?
No, I don't. New York is
Frankfurt, Germany.
Why does everybody? No, Germany. Over Germany.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Traumatized.
No, New York will not be my final resting place. New York it's a hard place,
It sucks.
I want to say, it's just, I can't. Yeah, no, not my final resting place. But I do have a deep love for New York. It'll always have a special place in my heart.
What is your touring schedule like? Do you go to different places, or are you kind of just like working the New York circuit right now?
Well, for right now, super working the New York circuit, but we're definitely going to be doing a tour for the book. Definitely going to do like a statewide tour, and God willing, we'll get out the state and go to other states and promote.
Yes, IHU fans from other states.
Definitely.
We have plenty of those.
We have people in Frankfurt, Germany.
Yeah, we do.
What is happening in Frankfurt, Germany?
No, you hate Alabama and love Germany now? Damn, that is a
All right, Mike, pray for Germany. We're out.
It's not that popping.
3% of white women voted for a pedophile.
Oh my
Is there anything to
God.
like about it? But shout out to the 98% of black women who voted against that.
Yeah.
Who are also our
Yeah, that's actually all Inner Hoe Uprising.
Yeah, those are our swear to God. Fucking crazy. Pretty intense. We appreciate you. The ones who were like,
we actually did that.
Sam attacks Alabama every week. Like, what did we do? You had white women in your state voting
It's
for
crazy.
this pedophile.
It's
But
crazy.
A very
so don't go to Alabama. Essentially, that's
up with our listeners.
which I doubt. There's like 5 of them, and then there's like 3,000 of them in the state, which is still not that much. Alabama's like weird fucking state, but yeah, don't go there. And they're gonna be like, oh, you're like black. We don't even want to hang you and put you in a museum.
What did you think of?
Only black. I like black.
Not black.
Oh man, Alabama.
Yeah.
Get it together. I said I was never gonna talk about that state again. But here we go.
And we did it.
You just keep bringing it out.
I did that. But I love.
I said Germany.
But you did it.
across
You
the
went.
board.
You went to another country. You fucked up. I had to bring you back to your roots, Alabama. Those are your roots. You probably have some ancestors there because I know I do. So.
North Carolina.
Ah.
Yeah.
Alabama and South Carolina were twins. Look at us, sisters. A little fucked up. But.
Solidarity. Can we also hear Soul Vagina just to bring it back to that?
Yes,
Space
yes,
here.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
I just want to hear you say poetry.
No, Sam has a little crush.
Oh,
I'm just trying to vibe out.
yeah.
Nice Saturday.
And you had a lot of mimosas and bellinis or whatever the fuck we had.
Oh. All right, that's a nice short one. So, Soul Vagina. The soul of my vagina begs moistly for your attention. Feed it to its satisfaction your wholeness, while I float to fantasy. Tap against the walls and delight at their crumbling. Sink into the murky pool of my soul vagina and let your firmness be baptized. Get lost in the deep of my eyes and let words take the form of our actions. While the soul of my vagina goes through a reawakening. The soul of my vagina goes through a reawakening.
This is beautiful, but also sexy as well.
Thank you.
I was like, it's over.
Give me more.
I don't mind giving you more. I don't mind.
No, that was, boy.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, how lonely am I? I feel it, but I don't empathize. I don't understand how this shit feels like that.
Well, on that note, how do you hope that this, what do you hope that this does for people?
I hope that it, for one, empowers women. In it, however that takes shape or form for them, because there's a lot of, I certainly have felt more empowered throughout the years. The more I became aware of who I am, and that has to do with self-identity. I've definitely gone down the road trying to discover who I am, and once you do, and you're comfortable with yourself, you get to a place where you can be completely naked and not feel bad about anything. Like your boobs are sagging, or
I know that feel. Yeah, I'm like, whoa. Wait.
that freaking, that thing right here you can't get rid of at the gym. Yeah, that,
I forgot what that was called. I'm calling it a poopa. But poopa's fine.
The area.
Oh, wow. Didn't think so. Shit.
Yeah, and you can just be completely comfortable and love yourself. And when you can do that, then you can offer somebody else so much. And that goes with men too, being completely okay with who you are. Then you're able to give someone else everything else, because, you're whole.
Yeah.
And just to treat each other better. Realize that human beings are complex and sensitive, and, we feel things. So we really need to just do better with each other.
I so agree with that.
Yeah.
That's also one of my hopes for this podcast. Just Communicate.
Yes.
Respect each other.
Yes.
Be nice. Empathize.
Definitely.
Love each other just a little bit.
Exactly. Just a little more. Like, just don't hate everybody. How about that? Don't treat them like shit. That would be nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of simple, right?
Yeah.
Not too much to ask for.
But it is, because people are like, what?
Right, and like...
Be nice. The fuck you mean?
Right, yeah, it's a crazy world.
That's awesome.
We write for hope.
Yeah, I really respect that. Rob, you got any?
Just the title. It's In Between Sex and God. Who am I? So, with the like controversial like thing about like Christianity and sex and God, how do you? I'm assuming that you are religious to some extent.
More spiritual than religious, because you can take out God and put in whatever Allah or the universe or
God
whatever.
is me, God is love.
Right,
God is
whatever you identify with that is of a higher power. I'm definitely spiritual. So, and I also grew up in a Catholic school. So there was always that whole, abstain and, wait for marriage and, sex is bad, it's going to kill you, that thing. So, having had that in the back of my mind, and then, my body is, doing all, different things. It's, then you're just kind of trying to like bridge the gap and trying to figure out, okay, so how do I manage this? And also, I find God in so many relationships with people that I've loved and in moments when I've been intimate with them. So then trying to reconcile that. Hence, in between sex and God, who am I?
Gotta ask, is there a particular person in your life right now who is driving some new pieces? Or
No.
who you're finding God in?
No. I'm hoping for some manifestation real soon.
Okay. Let's take a moment.
Yes.
Speak it.
Yes.
For all of us.
Yes. Definitely.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Just living right now. Living
So-
and open to the universe and the world.
Cool. You got any other questions, Rob? Cool. Can you tell us?
Sorry, I'm like trying not to be drunk. No, I'm fine.
Drink some water. What the hell's wrong with you? Do you have anything else that you would like to share with the listening world?
February 13th.
Yes, the book release. February 13th, that's when it officially comes out. But if you do want to pre-order it, get it as a gift for someone for Valentine's Day. You can definitely pre-order it again on my website, www.nonothepoet.com. And also, I will be doing a show that week. Do we have a date or?
Aiming for the 17th.
We're right as it stands. We're aiming for February 17th. It's going to be. There's going to be musicians. We're going to have, pianists, bassists, guitarists, drummers, and I'm going to be doing spoken word. I'm going to be singing. It's going to be a fusion of instrumentals. It's going to be great.
We're in there.
Yeah, like duh.
Definitely.
If it wasn't obvious, we were
It's invitation only. Well, this is a self-invitation of the Inner Hoe Uprising podcast.
Mark me in my plus four.
Yes.
VIP. We're going to be on the stage behind you. Reciting your poems with you.
And that's in New York City, to clarify.
Yes,
Cool.
definitely in New York City.
Awesome.
That's why you guys got to come to New York. Just come to New York for January 7th
And then
stay.
Right.
For a month and a week.
Just make it a month.
It's not that
Nice
long.
time.
Like it's only like a month and change. Like you need somewhere to
Get
stay.
a good Airbnb price.
Yeah, like you come live in not my apartment. I was just
Sublet
kidding.
that shit.
Yeah, I have a dog bed that somebody can sleep. It's really soft.
We're not putting people.
Okay, just
on
kidding.
beds.
I know plenty of places that you can sleep and nobody's gonna find
Yeah.
you.
And if we want to follow you outside of the book, where can we find you?
Yes.
On the interwebs?
I am on Facebook as Nono the Poet, and you can follow me on Twitter as Nono the Poet, and also on Instagram, Nono the Poet. Yes. I don't know what I was going to say. On Instagram, Nono the Poet. And if you do follow me that way, you'll be able to stay in touch with me and see, where I'm performing and when the book release show is actually going to be.
Awesome.
Yes.
I love your voice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
We're all
much.
listening so intently. Like,
Thank you.
keep speaking.
It is so
Like,
beautiful.
do you want to
thank
recite
you.
another poem? Because I really want to right now. Let's have a book listening, and I'm gonna listen.
Did you plug your YouTube, by the way?
Oh yes. Mike, it's on another board, right?
No, not yet.
No.
Either way, it will be in the description.
Yeah.
We will find Toe.
Yeah.
We will put Toe.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just like go to sleep to that, wake up to that, have your lunch to
Oh,
that.
fuck to that.
Your whole exactly.
I'm gonna have sex to spoken word. Yes, I'm listening to somebody else, and no, I'm not concentrating on the sex, but
I'm actually just listening to Nono and getting.
it's literally you I'm masturbating with your penis to this poetry, and it's like,
oh, I love you guys.
be here, be here.
Yeah. So much love.
Don't speak. Don't exist in my apartment. Shout out to Nono.
Yeah.
No, shout out to you guys. Okay. I think that's where the real shout out has to go.
Well, no, we're just silly individuals. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can we take a pause? And then we're gonna do the rest of the show. But first.